Hello, and welcome to the latest video from the Military Stage channel. The first of 31 M1 Abrams tanks that the United States pledged to Ukraine 8 months ago finally have arrived. And just in time, combat losses steadily have depleted Ukraine's inventory of Western-made tanks since Ukrainian brigades launched a counteroffensive across southern and eastern Ukraine back in early June. The 68-ton, 4-person M1 A1s are preparing to reinforce our brigades, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated. Zelensky did not elaborate on how many tanks had arrived in the country, nor on how long it would take for them to be deployed to the front line. Washington had promised to provide 31 Abrams tanks to Kyiv at the start of the year, part of more than $43 billion in security assistance pledged by the United States over the past 18 months. Ukraine's M1s are ex-US Marine Corps Firepower Enhancement Package models. They got the same 120mm smoothbore main guns, composite armor, and high-end optics as other M1 models. They also have laser systems, so-called far target designators, that help them to gather data on a target from 4 miles away and relay them to nearby artillery batteries. The M1 is one of the best tanks in the world, which is not to say it's invulnerable to Russian mines, anti-tank missiles, and artillery. It's no more untouchable than is, say, a contemporaneous German-made Leopard 2A6, Swedish Sturv 122, or British Challenger 2. The U.S. Department of Defense has decided to send an older model of the M1, A1 from the Army Reserves, which can be prepared for sending more quickly instead of the previously promised M1 A2s. The main difference between the basic versions of the M1 A2 and the M1 A1 is a more powerful armor protection package and modern electronics. However, the FEP, Firepower Enhancement Program, increasing all-weather, day and night target acquisition and engagement range, and AIM-SA, Abrams Integrated Management, Situational Awareness, versions of the M1A1, which are currently in service with the U.S. Army, have undergone significant modernization, which partially brought them to the M1A2 level. The tanks received a new main gunner sight with an improved block, second-generation thermal imager, FLIR, forward-looking infrared. The fire control system has been updated to use the new M829 A3 heavy armor piercing and M1028 tungsten fragment anti-personnel 120mm tank rounds. The tank commander also received a new stabilized commander's weapon station. The A1 and A2 are actually different versions of the same tank that have undergone parallel modernizations. In practice, the M1 A1 SA and M1 A1 FEP versions could be compared to the M1 A2 SEP2, which was produced in the 2010s. Regular U.S. Army Abrams modifications receive the Blue Force tracking systems, providing unit commanders with current information on the location of tanks on the battlefield relative to friendly forces via data link. Most likely, it will be dismantled before being sent to Ukraine, as was the case with the digital units for the M700 and 77 howitzers. The armor containing depleted uranium will also most likely be dismantled because this type of armor is a secret which the U.S. does not disclose even to its closest allies. One of the most notable peculiarities of the Abrams is its massive multilayer armor. The tank is protected from cumulative or subcaliber armor-piercing projectiles with combined armor, special ceramic tiles sandwiched between two thick metal sheets. It's not known yet which version of the M1 A1 will be sent to Ukraine. The Pentagon press secretary, Brig Gen Pat Ryder, said that 31 used bodies of M1 A1s would be repaired and modernized with the support of Ukraine's Security Assistance Initiative, for which General Dynamics would be paid $400 million. This means the M1 A1s are likely to be substantially upgraded and different from the M1 A1 CFDP versions. There might even be a separate Ukrainian version, as the US is known to often practice developing customized modifications, not just for tanks, but for other weapon systems, including fighter aircraft such as the F-16. The Ukrainians have, or had, 21 Leopard 2A6, 10 Sturv 122s, and 14 Challenger 2s. After 3 months of offensive operations, they've lost 3 A6 and a Challenger 2. At least one Sturv 122 has been damaged, if not destroyed. The Ukrainians also have lost at least 3 of the 40 older Leopard 2A4s they so far have received. The 31 M1s, plus nearly 200 lightweight Leopard 1A5s that also have begun arriving in Ukraine, not only will make good Kyiv's recent tank losses, they should allow the Ukrainian General Staff either to form new mechanized brigades or to add tank battalions to brigades that don't yet have them. And there's a good chance more M1s are coming. At least one media outlet already is reporting that a second batch of 30 Abrams is likely. That makes sense. The American custom, 20 months into Russia's wider war on Ukraine, has been to pledge a small initial consignment of a particular armored vehicle type, and then to add many more copies once the type is established in service with all the requisite logistics and training infrastructure. That's how an initial 50 M2 infantry fighting vehicles became 200 a few months later, how a pledge of 90 Stryker IFVs quickly doubled, and how the handful of high-mobility artillery rocket systems swelled to nearly 40. To be sure, the Americans have ample stocks of thousands of older M1s. The only impediment to a much bigger transfer of the tanks to Ukraine is their armor. It's a matter of policy that the United States removes the uranium armor from its M1s and replaces it with tungsten before giving or selling the vehicles to foreign allies. The excellent mobility of the Abrams is ensured by the Honeywell AGT 1500 gas turbine engine and the Allison X1103B automatic gearbox with 4 forward and 2 reverse gears. Its power-to-mass ratio of 24.4 horsepower per ton impressively surpasses that of the T-72B3 tank, which is a mere 18 horsepower per ton. Its advertised top speeds are 72 km per hour on-road and 48 km per hour off-road. The battlefield experience of the Ukrainian forces using NATO-standard tanks in their counteroffensive has undeniably proven their high combat efficiency and crew safety. Ukraine has thus far lost only 5 of 71 Leopard 2 tanks it received. About 10 have been damaged and are being repaired in EU countries. These figures testify to the high reliability and repairability of Western tanks. Importantly, Leopard 2s have been used to break through Russian defenses, and such operations are known to be very challenging to any armored vehicles, with heavily mined fields and roads within Russian artillery's range hampering and often completely obstructing the movement of Western tanks. Now, 31 Abrams tanks will likely give the Ukrainian forces some advantage in chosen sectors of the offensive. The United States has also announced supplies of shells with depleted uranium to Ukraine. So far, Ukraine has received shells of this type from the UK. Depleted uranium is purified to contain only the U-238 isotope. Half-life 4.5 billion years, removing the more radioactive U-235 used in nuclear weapons. Half-life 700 million years. Uranium has the highest atomic weight of the primordially occurring elements, with a density about 70% higher than that of lead and slightly lower than tungsten. Thanks to extreme density of depleted uranium, such shells have a much higher armor-piercing capacity enabling them to destroy any armored vehicles. The Abrams M1 A1 and the German Leopard 2 A4 had the same 120mm guns and subsequently nearly the same firepower. The Abrams fires M829, a 3 armor-piercing rounds with a depleted uranium core, which can pierce 700mm thick armor at ranges up to 2,000 meters. Such impressive characteristics threaten even Russia's most advanced tanks, such as T-72B3, protected by Contact 5 and relict dynamic armor. Besides the main gun, the Abrams is armed with 3 machine guns, 2 of which are mounted on the turret, a 12.7mm machine gun by the commander's hatch, and a 7.62mm machine gun by the gunners. The third machine gun, called coaxial, is synchronized with the main gun. At short ranges, the trajectory of its rounds is almost identical to that of the projectile fired from the main gun, which makes it a perfect instrument for quick and accurate aiming. With all the M1 Abrams combat equipment it has obtained from the U.S., the armed forces of Ukraine are looking forward to using Abrams tanks in offensive operations against Russia's T-90Ms and T-72B3s, relying on their strong armor and high firepower. And that's our video in this episode. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Stay connected with us for more interesting and latest videos.